Hello there. It's Rachel recording the feedback video. So I just recorded like an entire 7-minute video and then it would not upload. So I'm going to try again and hopefully I will say all the same things that I said initially. So first of all, I just want to say that I've enjoyed the videos so far. I guess I'm just going to kind of talk about what jumped out at me and what I liked about each video. I think we were missing one group member, but I figured I'd just go ahead and post. So for Hannah's video, I just like that you kind of mentioned early on that you are looking to be more educated about the topic. I think that was similar to my thoughts too. Just being open and honest about that. And then I like the reference that you made about diversity being more of a noun and social justice being more action related. I think I was trying to get that across in my post. I don't know that I did, but I think just the way you described it sounded better than I did. But and then interesting thing that I saw was just towards the end when you mentioned white privilege and it feeling somewhat offensive to you. It's interesting because when I first started reading the text, I think I was kind of in the same boat. I think it initially kind of feels like your accomplishments or achievements maybe, I won't say like aren't as valued, but maybe you had it just kind of makes it seem like you just had it easier automatically because you're white and maybe your achievements like aren't taken into account as much. I don't know if that's like too strong of a statement, but that's kind of how I felt initially too. But when I started reading, I was like, I kind of have to know more about this. Like I need to. So I jumped ahead a little bit into the next module. I didn't get too far ahead, but what really helped me was reading a letter that a student had written. I think it was the one from Princeton, and kind of same thing. Like felt very like I worked hard. My parents have worked hard for everything we've achieved. Nothing was handed to us. Blah blah blah. And I think the responses to that helped me realize that it's not really about the accomplishments. It's about kind of where you're situated in society because of like the history or whatever. And then how those achievements or accomplishments come because of where you are. So I don't know. I don't know if that's a good explanation, but I don't think it's like, it gave me a lot more understanding, and I'm sure that we'll go into this in the next module, but I'm just looking forward to hearing your thoughts about on the next module, because I think I was similarly like kind of had your opinion as well, and I'm reading ahead. I was kind of like, oh, okay, kind of, it just becomes like a little bit more clear. I don't think that I did not feel it didn't feel as offensive to me later on. So anyway, moving on to Laura's video. Obviously, I accidentally typed the responses first, which obviously I'm following directions. But I'll just go back to some of the things that I typed and then some of the things that I noticed the second time that I watched it. So I just want to say, I think it's a whole other conversation, but in the beginning where you mentioned about your family member that kind of takes advantage of government resources, and I too have a similar situation in my family, and so for me, I think it's sometimes it makes us, I mean, I won't say us, but sometimes I think we're less like tolerant of those that actually need government assistance because of those that we see abuse the system. Like I said, I think that's another conversation, but I just appreciated you mentioning it. Something that also still sticks out to me from your video is when you said by identifying as privilege, you feel like you're creating oppression. I think that that's a strong statement, but I like it. And I don't know that it's necessarily right or wrong. I think that it's the way that we think about it. So, I mean, by being white and by being a part of the dominant identity, if you will, I don't think that automatically, creates oppression. I think that it's the way that we are understanding our identity as a dominant group and then understanding the challenges that others are facing, and how do we continue to bridge that gap and not, continue to work to equality for everyone. So anyway, I think that's something that we could maybe come back to, but I like it. I think it's just an interesting perspective. So Another thing that you mentioned, disadvantage by association, and how maybe biracial children identify. I know a girl, and knew her in college, but even prior to college, and in college, she did not identify as, she identified as white. She did not even like really take, she was biracial, but she didn't even really take in her minority identity at all, really. So it's interesting after college now. I mean, it almost has become her dominant identity. So whether that's because she feels more comfortable, or it's post college and she feels like, you know, she's in a place where she can express those feelings or be more relatable to them. I don't know, but I think it's just interesting, and it's interesting to see what drives that, as far as people like not adopting, but kind of owning those identities. So, and then finally, I'll just be curious to hear about your project regarding CEO, women in CEO and CFO positions. Again, I think it's kind of off topic, but it just reminds me of Sheryl Sandberg's concept to lean in, and so we think about what challenges women in those roles face. So not only glass ceiling and being respected as a woman of power, but then you think about, you know, being a wife, being a mom, juggling those things. Do I work full time? Do I take maternity leave, and all these things? I think it's, you know, not necessarily a controversial conversation, but it's been monumental, you know, for a lot of women to hear the stories and to just kind of hear perspective, I think, on how it can be done. And so anyway, just interested to hear about that in your next post or future posts. But anyway, hopefully this one posts, and I'm looking forward to the next module. Thank you.